Hi, my name is Jim DiZallo, and today I'm going to walk you through the steps of Rostow's model of economic development so you can learn them and you're going to hit the learning target. That's 3 darts hitting the target, if you're wondering. So, here's Walter Rostow, an American economist and advisor to the presidents. A summary of his theory would suggest that he believed that every country had the ability to pull itself out of poverty and lack of development. It would do this by finding where it had a comparative advantage. Now, that's a term for economics, but the idea is simplified is that every country can have an advantage in producing one thing over another country, and that is it can produce it, more of it, for less of a cost. And then it would have a comparative advantage by trade. And so this was the basis of his theory. But again, he believed that every individual country could move itself along his development stage. Here he is in a photo advising President Johnson during his administration. Here's a thematic map that's showing gross domestic product for 2012, and you can see that every country here is falling clearly into 5 distinct stages. Now, that clarity is always a little bit up for argument. Like, for example, in Mexico over here, some people believe that it's clearly is stage 3 of Rostow's model, which we'll look at a little bit. Some people believe it's 2 transitioning to 3. Some people think it's actually stage 3 and transitioning to stage 4 of his model. But the idea is that each country can be categorized, and then it can now use Rostow's model and theory to help push it forward or progress it to the next stage, which he believed that that was the ideal. Countries want to move along in the form of development. Rostow placed a great emphasis on economic growth, which he considered to be a product of the structure of a country's economy. Less developed countries had agricultural economies, and as development occurred, the structure of the economy changed to emphasize manufacturing and then service industries such as healthcare and education. Stage 1, the traditional society. This is characterized by subsistence farming, where farmers basically raise food for themselves and their families. There's a rigid social structure in this society with very little social mobility or the ability to move up. There's little infrastructure either to support trade and industry, like banks and highways and railroads. These things are good for development. Stage 2, preconditions for takeoff. 10, 9, 8, 7. Just kidding, I'm not going to go through it all. This is a stage where new leadership comes to power. There's internal investment in new technology and diversified products, and there's a belief in progress by the country as a whole. It's given value. Stage 3, take off to the great white north. That's what our Canadian rocker friends have to say. Gotta love Rush. But in this stage, industrial growth is going to take place. Manufacturing expands. There's more mass production, and there's even a little bit of urbanization. So there's a distinct shift from the primary sectors of the economy to now focus on the secondary sectors of the economy. And you should already know what that is by studying human geography. Stage 4. 4. The drive to maturity. No, not that maturity. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. You know what? I know where this is going. Uh-oh. Ah! Just kidding. That's not relevant. In this stage, there's industrial specialization, and the country now plays a strong role in the global economy. And there's even a slight decline in the population. Stage 5. Stage 5 suggests that there are high levels of production and consumption from many different industries. People also have more disposable income to support this mass consumption. There are some negatives associated with this model created by Rostow. First off, the model assumes that every country begins the process of development from the same starting point. Just as Uruguay, for example, it's not really going to face the same exact conditions as, say, England, which the model is based off of. Critics note that Rostow's model does not effectively account for such economic and even cultural differences. Another criticism of Rostow's model is that it works from a very narrow understanding of development with a single focus on a pattern of linear economic growth. For example, the model fails to consider the receipt of investment money or monetary aid from another country, which might stimulate economic growth, or even the IMF might try to help out countries. However, the result is a high level of debt that might stifle economic growth over the long term. Finally, a third criticism of the model is that it is Eurocentric. Is it based on European countries' experience and history? That every country will yield a technologically advanced and modernized, very Western society. His model assumes that this worked for the West and that it should work everywhere. So there's some real drawbacks to his model.